To a CTV News investigation now in efforts to seize property connected to the Hells Angels.
According to court documents, the biker gang allegedly poured millions gained from an underground gambling ring into cash, bikes, and even waterfront land.
An 11-year-old boy was killed by a car bomb near his schoolyard. A woman was stabbed nearly 30 times and left in the desert. 5 bikers were gunned down by their brothers and dumped in a river. These aren't scenes from a crime thriller. They're real moments from the brutal history of the Hells Angels.
John Woodward joins us live with the story tonight. John.
Michelle, we're talking about $160 million. That's how much police say flowed through this sports website.
For decades, this outlaw motorcycle gang has left a trail of blood across Canada, the US, and beyond. But what made them so feared, so dangerous, that even their members weren't safe?
Everyone knew Mum Boucher was a killer, and he knew everyone knew. He seemed to love it. Quebec's biker war raged for 8 years.
Maurice Mom Boucher, born in 1953 in Quebec, grew up in a tough environment and dropped out of school in 9th grade. Struggling to survive and battling a drug addiction, he turned to crime. In the early 80s, he joined a white supremacist biker gang called the SS, which caught the attention of the Hells Angels.
Infamous. Boucher led the Nomads, an elite chapter of the Hells Angels. He got the nickname Mom because he was apparently like an overbearing mother. For a time, he seemed untouchable. He wasn't.
After serving time for assaulting a teenager, he officially joined their Montreal chapter in 1986. Smart and ruthless, Boucher quickly rose to power. By the early 90s, he led the Hells Angels in the violent Quebec biker war, targeting rival gangs and dominating the drug trade.
A woman named Cynthia Garcia, who came to the Hells Angels clubhouse in Mesa, Arizona, said the wrong thing to the wrong people at the wrong time.
Paul Eichscheid lived a double life, stockbroker by day, a violent Hells Angels member by night. In 2001, at a party inside the Mesa, Arizona clubhouse, 44-year-old Cynthia Garcia made the fatal mistake of insulting the gang. Eichscheid and others responded with shocking brutality, beating and stomping her before stabbing her nearly 30 times.
On the floor of the Mesa clubhouse. They rolled her up in some carpet, put her in the trunk of a car. They drove her out to the desert outside of Phoenix in Apache Junction, Arizona, and cut her head off. That was what they believed was an appropriate response to them being insulted.
They dumped her body in the desert. Charged with her murder, Eichscheid was released on bail, but cut off his ankle monitor and fled the country using a fake passport. He remained on the run until 2011, when he was arrested in Argentina and later extradited to the US in 2018.
They just took the gun away from him. One of them has it now, he showed it to me. And they proceeded to put him down on the ground and start kicking him. And he has a couple stab wounds in his back and one over his ear.
In 1969, the Rolling Stones played a massive concert at Altamont Speedway in California, meant to be the West Coast's answer to Woodstock. But instead of hiring proper security, the organizers brought in the Hells Angels, paying them $500 worth of beer. As the crowd of 300,000 got rowdy, the Angels started swinging pool cues and throwing bottles. Things spiraled when a young black man named Meredith Hunter pulled a gun. Hells Angel Alan Pissarro stabbed him 5 times, killing him. Though it was caught on film, Pissarro claimed self-defense and was acquitted. Many believed racism played a role in Hunter's tragic death.
A search is underway this afternoon in Northern California. Police believe there that a serial killer could be on the loose after 5 deaths have now been linked.
George Wethern was once the vice president of the Oakland Hells Angels and a close friend of the club's founder, Sonny Barger. But everything changed when 3 bodies were discovered on his 156-acre ranch in Northern California.
Surveillance image that police are asking people to look at, as well as the investigation.
Rumors swirled that the land was used by the gang to hide bodies, including 2 angels trying to start a coup and a woman shot in the head. Facing serious charges, Wethern made a shocking move. He flipped. He testified against his brothers in exchange for immunity. After his cooperation, he and his family entered witness protection. He later told his story in a book called Wayward Angel.
Who they called the Englishman, were brought to a meeting and brutally stomped, strangled, stabbed, and shot to death in front of 50 to 100 other Hells Angels as a show of power by the South.
The Lennoxville Massacre in 1985 was one of the darkest moments in Hells Angels history. It wasn't a battle with a rival gang, it was an inside job. 5 members of the Laval chapter were called to a meeting at the Hells Angels bunker near Sherbrooke, Quebec. But instead of a meeting, it was an ambush.
And Mr. Pelletier was a part of that. But Mr. Pelletier he's been out of prison now for 12 years.
They were shot and killed by their own brothers, wrapped in sleeping bags, weighed down with cinder blocks, and dumped in a river. The victims were accused of being reckless and attracting too much police attention. This brutal purge marked a power shift, solidifying the club's move toward more organized, ruthless leadership.
Sky Langlois is one of the founding fathers of the Hells Angels in Canada, was one of the founding fathers of the Popeyes Motorcycle Club, which preceded the Hells Angels, and it was their patchover in 1977 that officially started the Hells Angels' reign north of the border.
Michel Sky Langlois was one of the key figures behind the rise of the Hells Angels in Quebec. In the early 1970s, he helped create the Popeye Gang, a brutal biker crew known for violence and drug dealing.
South Shore chapter in the late 90s, just a legend. I worked with him this winter, actually, in our Hells Angels Kingdom Come docuseries on...
Eventually, the Popeyes merged with the Hells Angels in 1977, with Langlois becoming a top boss. He played a major role in the infamous Lennoxville Massacre, where 5 Hells Angels were murdered by their own. Afterward, Langlois helped expand the gang's power across Canada. In 1985, he fled to Morocco to avoid arrest, but surrendered in 1988. Shockingly, he only got a 2-year sentence despite his involvement.
Canadian president of the Hells Angels was shot to death. He was meeting with a member of Kitchener's Satan's Choice Motorcycle Club.
Yves Apache Trudeau was one of the deadliest men to ever wear a Hells Angels patch. Known as the club's top assassin, he was deeply involved in some of Canada's bloodiest biker wars, including battles with the Popeyes, Satan's Choice, and the Devil's Disciples. Fueled by cocaine and paranoia, Trudeau didn't hesitate to kill, even fellow gang members. After the Lennoxville Massacre in 1985, he shocked everyone by turning informant. In exchange for his testimony, he got a life sentence with the possibility of parole after just 7 years. He was released in 1994, rearrested in 2004, and eventually died of cancer in 2008. Robert Chico Mora was the kind of biker who didn't care who you were, cop, rival, or even a fellow gang member. If you crossed him, you were in trouble. He led Arizona's most feared biker gang, the Dirty Dozen, known for chaos, violence, and wild behavior. In 1977, Chico played a big role in merging the Dirty Dozen with the Hells Angels, bringing their operations under one brutal banner. His reputation was legendary. People said he'd kill anyone without a second thought. He had a long rap sheet, including manslaughter and drug trafficking. When he died on January 1st, 2014, bikers from all over showed up to honor him. If you made it this far, drop a thought in the comments and tell us which moment shocked you the most. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insane stories.